Alright, so we've got the control horn in. Let's go ahead and put together our pylon. And so basically you're just making a sandwich here of 3 pieces of 1/8 balsa. The one with the notches goes in the middle. You'll notice it's got a cutout in it too. And you'll also notice that these guys have a front and a back to them, so be careful when you're doing all that. But you'll get this assembly right here. Now we can round most of this off. You can sand down the sides of this a little bit because it is a little on the wide side. And there we go. Just like that. Now at this point, go find your blind nuts for this guy. And they insert straight down into these holes. Just like that. And you'll notice these are raised up off the surface a little bit. You can come in with some scrap wood from literally anywhere. I'm just kind of filling that spot. And again, not trying to do anything particularly special, we just want a nice flat surface there. And now we can pop out the remaining piece of stabilizer platform material, and we will glue it on top over all of that. Try not to get CA down there in the threads, because we want those screws to be as easy to use as possible. I say that and I literally immediately got CA in the threads. Okay, so we've got our stab assembly here. We're going to come in and we'll stick a bolt down through each of these. Actually, before we do that, we should sand this guy. So the way that we do that is we wrap a piece of sandpaper around the tail boom here, and we are going to sand this guy so that it is nice and curved to mate in with our tail boom. And now you have that effect. Now I'm throwing it everywhere. So again, having done that, get this guy to move in there with the screws. I've got to go find a screwdriver. One thing you will observe is we have not punched those holes all the way through the pylon, so you're kind of, effectively you're cutting a new set of holes for yourself here. And this one's being a little stubborn about catching into the threads there. So why is that? An inordinate amount of crud in there. Try to not cross-thread it. There we go. These do loosen up over time, but as you're first cutting the screws in there and whatnot, as you can tell, they're a little on the stubborn side. So we have the the stab set up with its pylon, everything's happy, but we cannot install it yet because we have to finish our rudder. The rudder has to be installed first. So first of all, let me stow all of my mounting hardware here away that I left out. Put everything out of there. Now, this again is my vertical stab. This is the bottom of it, this is the top, and we're looking at the left side. We want the airfoil on the left side because I'm right-handed, and I want this to pull to the right since I'm going to be inducing a left yaw on launch. So we're going to do the exact same airfoiling process on our vertical stab as what we did on the as we did on the horizontal stab. So we're going to do our wedge back here with our rudder and the tips, and then we'll come in and we'll round off the leading edge and all that, and try not to imitate me, which is just a bull in the china cabinet here. Alright, so we have completely sanded the rudder. We've shaped the leading edge to the top and bottom exactly the same way as before. Not top and bottom, right and left. I don't know. So I'm going to pop this thing loose of its hinge line again. Sand that whole hinge line real good. And then this again is the left side. The spring is going to need to pull to this direction, so we're going to bevel right along here, like so. Just like that. And now we will hit it with Blenderm tape, and I'll make some springs for it. Okay, so we've got the rudder hinged and whatnot. Again, for the rudder itself, the pins go here in the center, and then for the vertical stab part, they go out here. So same style hinges, and again, so this is the way it'll sit, top, bottom, and so we're pulling to the right. Then we will grab the rudder control horn, which is the one with multiple holes to be selected on it. Pop it out. Do a little bit of sanding on it. And then it just goes straight in here. Remember, it's on the side that you pull towards. And there we go. Now, the next thing that we have to do is we have to insert our vertical stab into the tail boom. And you want the tail boom to come back about to where that tape hinge is. So you're going to want to make a mark right about here. You're going to want to Dremel in. And the thing is, we have to make sure that that slot is straight up and down relative to our fuselage pod. So we're going to drill in, we're going to slot in the top and the bottom, and we'll be back once that's done. Okay, so we've got this slot cut in here, like so. And so what we're going to do is on your rudder, you've got this little score part here, and we're going to knock all of that out. If we can find the razor blade with which to do so. There we go. Excuse me while I drop everything. And with that, we will slot this guy in here. Attempt to slot this guy in here. There we go. Like so. Check that it's vertical. Indeed it is. And so now you have this arrangement. So at this point, go ahead and CA this whole thing in place. You can move it to do that if you like. Try not to do what I did, which was to rip a piece of the leading edge stripping loose. There we go. And so we'll just put some glue here, inside. And again, remember, this is the top of our pylon, so the left side is the side that the hinge, or that the rudder should pull towards. So, like that. So looking at the airplane from this way. And again, this is for right-handed throw. Now we will come in here, make sure that whole thing is sealed. And I will suggest glassing over all of this, which I'll do here in a minute. Alright, so I've got this little semicircular guy right here that I'm now going to set down like so. And peel the backing paper off if I'm able to. Let go of the fiberglass. And I have screwed up. I still have wet glue down there. So don't be like me. So I'm going to have to come back and patch that and sand it and all that jazz. And get the paper off of my skin. Fun times. Be back in a minute. Okay, so let's show you this the correct way instead of the messed up way that you get when you manage to glue the backing paper down with everything. There we go. Much better. And there we go. Now, I am in a bit of a hurry, so I'm going to do something I recommend you be very careful about, which is I'm going to use CA here. The reason you have to be careful about is this, by spreading it out, this causes the CA to flash cure, and it sends out fumes that you do not wish to be party to. And I didn't wet it out all the way right here. And there you go. That just reinforces this area and keeps it from breaking quite as easily. Now we're going to put fiberglass over these joins right here on both sides, because those areas tend to break if they are not reinforced, and that becomes very frustrating, and it does actually impact the launch height of this airplane, because you're removing vertical stab area, and since the wings on this airplane are not particularly light, they have quite a bit of rotational inertia, so that when you release this airplane, it tends to pull fairly strongly around to the left as it comes out of your hand. And the fiberglass is being mean to me, as usual. once you fiberglass these areas, they tend not to break particularly easily. And now we'll again just kind of hit this with a little bit of glue. Probably you shouldn't do what I just did, which is to go with your finger, but it is what it is. And there we go. Now, at this point, we're ready to start marking things to mount our stab. So your horizontal stab goes on the bottom here, on the bottom of the plane. You want to space it far enough forward that it doesn't get in an argument with the rudder, so about like that. And now, so you're going to, from where that pylon is, slightly ahead of that, on back, you're going to cut a slot in the bottom of the boom. Let me show you exactly where. You're going to cut a slot from about here back to here, right in the top of the boom. You can see we have this slot that's for your control cable to run through. Okay, so we have a slot right there. Now, in front of that, sand the top of your boom a little bit, just to rough it up a little. And now, we're going to mount this boom, or mount pylon on here with the stab installed, like so, and we want to get it squared up like that, and also correct alignment, you know, this way. Takes a little bit of practice. Take your time and make several goes at it before you put the glue on here, like I'm doing, and installing it with permanence. So we're straight up and down, the hinge is straight across, so we're squared up that way. And nice shot of glue all along there. And there we go. Alright, so we're good. Okay, so we have two servos here centered up, and we're going to arrange them in the airplane like this. So if you notice, they're not centered, they're going to go in like this. So let me unplug these. Oh, and the other thing is that the mounting flanges here I have clipped on either side, because that's the only way to get them into our mounting assembly here. Because like a typical DLG, it's nice and narrow in here. Now, you can put the receiver in front or behind. Because this airplane is going to end up getting an air pulse set up in it, and have quite a bit of electronic gizmory in there, we're going to put these so that the servos, or sorry, so that the receiver can be back in here. And so here's one servo in place. And now we will drop the other one in. Okay, so we have now bolted the servos in place, so they're in there, everybody's happy. Now we're going to take our spider wire here. Those of you who really want that extra security are welcome to substitute in Pylon, but this is kind of what I prefer. I'm going to put this through the second hole on my rudder, and I'm going to tie a fishing knot in it. And try to not. That's not a working fishing nut because it came undone. So I'm not sure what step I missed there, but check for that, because that is actually very important that this thing not be unable to slip in any way. So we go through there and then back out. And that doesn't slip. So I missed, put it through the wrong loop, I think. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to measure out all the way down here and some extra. And we will tie that off, or cut it off I should say. And back up here, and we're going to, on the side that control horn goes in, we're going to thread this all the way down the tail boom. Or at least we're going to attempt to. This may take some practice, trial and error, something or other. Also may require you to actually tie the end of the line to something heavy and string it down there, or a piece of carbon rod, or what have you. And it's getting stuck on something. Yep, I'm going to have to stick mine on something to thread it down there. So here we go. And out comes my pull string, and if I get this around, you can see from up front I'm able to tug on this. So you want to center that up, and I've lost it again. So what I'm going to do is run this, get those servo plugs out of the way, run that through there, pull it out, and then I'm going to run it through a second time. I'm going to attempt to run it through a second time. I'm going to fail again. There we go. And then we're going to loosen this cap screw. Center that servo back up because I've thrown it off. So we've got it centered. Now what I have to do is take all that slack out until my rudder is centered, and then I'm going to wind it around that servo horn screw several times so that it will not tend to slip. And at that point I can come in here and I can tighten it down. Now the thing you got to watch out for is, in my case here, the tightening process pulled in some more string and has tightened it up. Time we got it right. And now what I would suggest you do, because these do loosen up, they do have to be maintained, etc., leave about that much excess. And chuck that back down in there somewheres. Be all happy like. And now we're going to repeat that rigging with the elevator, except with a slight twist. So come down here on your elevator, take a piece of excess that you've got, about yay big will do, and we're going to loop that around the tail boom. We're going to tie it off. Actually, we're not going to do that yet. There's this order this has to be done in, and I'm doing it wrong. We're going to tie a loop into one of this line. Please excuse all the sounds of kitchen in the background. I can't shut it off. I really want to, but I like living here. Alright, so we've got a little loop tied here. This one's probably a little on the small side, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to install it on the elevator yet. What I am going to do is thread this piece of line through it, wrap it around here. I'm going to tie this off. I'm going to attempt to, oh, there we go. Now, if you're wondering why I do this, the reason is that since the elevator stab assembly is removable, I will be taking the stab loose of its pull string, and then I don't want that slipping down inside the tail boom. So now I can slide the end of that loop over my elevator, and I have elevator control just like normal. So now I will measure this out the same way I did with the rudder pull string. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume I'm going to have the same problems as before. And I need to find a somewhat skinnier rod, because we've got to go through that little slot in the tail boom this time. And make sure you're not tangling around anything as you're doing this, like your hands or the outside of the stab or the rudder or what have you. At some point this already will poke through. I'm not sure when. So tangled. There we go. And we've captured our line here. We have a working elevator now. So we'll pop this guy loose. Trim some excess off of it, mainly because there's a knot in the end of it. Don't forget to loosen this screw, which then sends the servo unhappy. Center everything up. this point I have to center up that elevator. Roll this around a couple of times, just like we did before. And now we can screw it all down. And there you go. Stow the excess in there. Alright, so we have everything done up front. Epoxy is dry. We've got screws in place down here. I have glued the washers to those screws, so everything's good there. Tail surfaces are properly rigged. So now the only remaining step is to build out our motor tube. By the way, I do want to mention, before you install that motor tube, you need to thread your connectors from your wing up through over the top here, through that bulkhead, and into your into your nose region. So we're going to take this guy. We're going to locate our tube marking guide. Right here, and we'll go get a pen so we can use that. Alright, so we're going to just wrap this guy on around. This may take a little bit of practice for you to get it right. Take your time. And now all we have to do Now, take a sharp, fresh, whatever you want to call it, razor blade and carefully cut this out. We're going to take sandpaper. And there you go. So we'll do the same thing down here. At that point, let's do a quick cross check. Yes, indeed, this fits in here in a nice and tidy fashion. So you will have these three bulkhead assemblies. Go ahead and pop those out and glue them together. May have to sand them slightly, but you want them to fit into this tube right up to where they're about flush right there. Glue this whole thing in place. So we're going to punch this hook through the middle like that. And we'll take a piece of blender tape and we'll tack it down. Alright, so the hook goes down on the bottom. We've taped it in place. Once you have painted and done everything to the airplane, run glue all the way around here, and run glue all the way around here, and you're good to go. This concludes the build video for the fuselage and tail surfaces of the Evo Fire. We now direct you to the build videos from Tran for completing the wing of the aircraft. A couple things that I will note that I think you do need to pay attention to. First of all, before you proceed to that, bear in mind Tran's wing was designed to be a high wing. So that means you will need to cut a servo hole in the top of the wing to accommodate the wires for your wing servos. It is possible to build this as a 4-in pod model. Hopefully we'll be able to get servo trays for 4-in pod out in the near future. Follow Tran's recommendations very closely for that. Additionally, something you'll notice is the airplane is currently in wing bags. These are not currently something we're able to offer. However, I highly recommend them for any DLG, especially in the 1.5 meter range, because they help protect the airplane from sunlight, from bugs chewing on it, and so on, and general hanger rash and abuse. So highly recommend that you get yourself a set of wing bags. I actually made these from scratch. There's some material out there you can probably find on RC groups that's very useful for making wing bags, and it takes just a few minutes with a covering iron to just seal these together, and they do a really nice job. They're nice and soft inside, don't snag on the wing, what have you. So with that, any questions, comments you have to us, put them in the comments section below, or use the contact submission form on our website. That goes to my email account, and I check that as often as I can. You can also hit us up on Facebook through the messaging app at J&H Aerospace, and ask me any questions you need, any issues, any missing parts, what have you, and we can get you set up. So, hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you later. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.